If I have to tell you something about Dr. Mabila Mathebula, he is, the light of the world. He's actually like that city in the mountain. It will be very, very hard for you to actually hide that city. In fact, to also extinguish the light that he actually has. Dr. Mabila Mathebula, welcome right at VMC Planet Radio. My name is Mr. Stan, and you are Dr. Mabila Mathebula.
Hi, good morning, gentlemen. Stan, I would like to wise you up this evening. There is an Eastern proverb that goes, if you want prosperity for the year, you grow grain. But if you want prosperity for 10 years, you grow trees. But if you want prosperity for 100 years, you grow people. That's why the show has now been changed from matters of the heart to human growth.
The show, the segment has been changed to human growth right at VMC Planet Radio with Dr. Mabila Mathebula. Dr. Mabila Mathebula, do you mind repeating that Eastern saying?
Yeah, if you want prosperity for a year, grow grain. If you want prosperity for 10 years, grow trees. But if you want prosperity for 100 years, you grow people.
Prosperity for 100 years, you actually grow people. Dr. Mabila Mathebula. Dr. Mabila Mathebula, today is Sunday, and how has your Sunday been?
Fantastic. I've also reconfigured my office so that I can have more energy. I'm sure you can see. There is a lot of energy flowing.
There's a lot of energy flowing with Dr. Mabila Mathebula. He's actually reconfigured his office today. Now, what is it that you had today? It can be from a child. It can be from anybody, really. That, made you think a little bit.
Yeah, it's a very good question, and I'm glad you brought it up. I was at church. And then I was given a platform to preach. And after I had preached, all the young people who attended, they said to me, you have really transformed our life.
Transformed people's
lives.
Our lives. Yeah. You know, Dr. Mabila Mathebula, I am a fan of words, right? You actually... you said you had a fantastic day, but I'm going to say you had a gargantuan day. So, which means you are feeling, ilogofisio ipopokunoras, and your reggae myelitis today is not really bothering you, Dr. Mabila Mathebula.
No, I still have reggae myelitis. I can feel it over my bones.
From your waist.
From the waist. And it's registered in my brain as well.
It is also registered in your brain, Dr. Mabila Mathebula. Talking about brain, there's one thing that I read about which is actually very interesting. It's called, in fact, it's actually a chemical reaction that is released by your brain, to your body, which is actually called serotonin. And, it is actually responsible for quite a number of things in your body. And if somebody says to you, you are beautiful, you are good, and all of those things, that chemical reaction is actually unleashed in your body, and it can control your mood as well, depending on the words that you had, Dr. Mabila Mathebula.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we need positive energy. That's why you need people with positive energy around you. Because people with negative energy destroy you. So that's why you need those people.
You need people with positive energy, because the ones without, they can actually destroy your day and destroy your energy as well. Dr. Mathebula, how stress affect your relationship?
Yeah, I think I have to say to you that as human beings, we are exposed to stress. There's no person who can say to me that I'm stress-free. All of us who have got stress, but I think the challenge is, how do you manage your stress level?
How do you manage your stress level? And some of the stress were actually caused by COVID-19. What is it that it has forced on our life, this pandemic, Dr. Mathebula?
Well, COVID-19 has actually done a lot of things. Firstly, some people have lost their jobs through COVID. Some people were actually forced to be in a lockdown, and they were forced to stay at home with their wives or husbands, and they are not used to staying with their wives and husbands, and then now it stressed them, for such relationships where, always your wife is over there, your husband is over there, and then all of a sudden there's a lockdown. You have to be in one in one house for so many hours, and so many people were really stressed.
Because they are now forced to do things that they are not so used to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, this situation of stress, how do we unbundle it, Dr. Mathebula?
Well, I think to unbundle stress, I think when you look at stress, you have to look at three factors. It evidences itself. I'm using the word I'm using the word evidence, but now I'm using it as a verb.
Okay.
It evidences itself in three forms: physical, behavioral, as well as emotional.
And then now, perhaps we need to actually define the word stress. How do we define stress, Dr. Mathebula?
It's a very good question. A lot of people will say I'm stressed, but they don't know exactly what stress is. Stress is a great worry caused by a difficult situation. You are in a difficult situation and you worry about that situation. And then now that is stress.
Now, biblically, the Bible uses the word distress, Dr. Mabila Mathebula. What does it mean?
Well, the Bible does not use the word stress. It uses the word distress. And the word distress means a feeling of extreme worry, sadness, or pain. And the example that I often give is David, the psalmist. David would actually write in his psalms that he was stressed, and he'll actually call upon God and say, I'm stressed, I'm distressed, And then also, even though I walk through the veil of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Or you actually say, I lift my eyes to the mountain. Now that was therapy for him, writing the poem, the psalms, and reciting them. And he would actually go to God and say, I'm stressed. I've got this distress, and then I trust in you, I believe in you. But the problem is people are distressed, but they don't have an outlet. They can't actually say anything. That's why they end up dying.
Now, let's talk about the misconception about us and stress, Dr. Mabila Mathebula. What is the one most misconception that you know of about stress?
One of the misconceptions about stress, people think that Black people don't experience stress. Stress into yabelung, And then another one, they actually think that children don't actually experience stress. Stress is only experienced by adults. And then the example that I often give is that, for example, if you have got a baby and there's a stranger and you hand over the baby to the stranger, the baby will cry because, he or she's not used to the stranger. That is stress. Or maybe a child will actually begin the schooling career. For the first time, this child had been with the mother and the mother hands him over to the teacher to start school. Now we'll be stressed. Or maybe at school, Stan, you and I, we are actually from the era of corporal punishment, where you actually go to class and you know that there's the mathematics teachers and then he's going to punish you and the like. Before you go to class, stress. Or maybe you are in a relationship, you are a teenager, you break up with your lover, stress. Now we have always had stress, but unfortunately we didn't actually have a way to manage the stress, and the stress became cumulative. And then now you are at work, you are experiencing stress, you are in a marriage or in a relationship, you are experiencing stress. But what you must actually understand that stress was actually mismanaged from when you were a child. And now it's a time bomb.
Now, obviously, there are some kind of physical indicators. What are they, Dr. Mabila Mathebula, for stress?
Yeah. Yeah, also it's a very good question. How will you know that you are stressed? And how will you know that your partner is stressed? How will you know that your child is stressed? How will you know that your employee is stressed? Okay, these are the indicators. Firstly, elevated high blood pressure. You know, your high blood pressure is very, very abnormally high. And then increase muscle tension. You know, you can feel the neck and the shoulders. You know, you can feel, you know, this heaviness. Elevated pulse or increase, you know, respiration. You know, the way a person breathes. And then sweaty palms. You know, your palms are sweaty. Cold hands and feet. You try to greet this person. Hey, how are you? Hey, how are you? Hey, and you can feel that, the hands are cold.
The hand is like a fridge.
Absolutely. It means that the person is stressed. You know? And then tension headache. A person has got this headache, and then you go to the headache clinic, you know. Upset stomach. You know, like your stomach is actually upset, and others end up having piles because the stomach's, you know, the metabolism is not actually working well. And then higher pitched voice. You know, the way, you know, the person talks, hey Stan, how are you? Hey Stan, hey, you are my manager, partner. You know, like that voice. You know? Yeah. Changes in appetite. You know, a person today, you know, wants food, craving for food. The other time, the person does not actually crave for food. Urinary frequency. This person goes to the toilet more often to urinate. Restlessness. The person is restless. Yeah. And then difficulty in falling asleep or waking up frequently. Awakening. You know, like this person, insomnia. This person, it's very difficult for a person to get, you know, to sleep. You know, I say, hey man, I can't robala. And they're like, hey, you must know that that person, in one way or the other, is stressed. Or maybe when the person is asleep, a person wakes up at night. You know? And it means those are indicators. Dry mouth and throat. Those are the physical indicators.
Now that we spoke about the physical indicators, let's go to behavioral indicators as well.
Okay, fine. Now we go to behavior. Behavior, as I said, behavior is an observable act. Are things that we do or don't do. Okay, fine. Decreased productivity. And of job performance. The person does not actually perform. It could be at home. It could be your wife. You know, she doesn't cook well. She doesn't clean well, and the like. It means that she's stressed up. You know? And a tendency to make mistakes or poor judgment. You know, for example, a person skips a robot. And when? No, the person is stressed. You know, and then forgetfulness and blocking. The person has actually forgotten. You know, please bring the report tomorrow. The person has forgotten. And then diminished attention to detail. This person does not actually pay attention anymore. Preoccupation, daydreaming, or spacing out. You know, inability to concentrate on a task. The people don't actually concentrate. Reduced creativity. You know, a person is no longer creative. It's no longer the way, you know, Stan used to be creative, where he can actually, you know, unpack a word and say funny, strange, peculiar. You know, the creativity is no longer there. Increased use of alcohol and drugs. You know, increased smoking, a chain smoker. This person does not actually stop. You know, this person is always smoking, always going outside. You know? Loss of interest. This could also include sex. You know, a person is no longer interested, you know, in sex. You know, and then the person is accident proneness. You know, this person can easily be involved in an accident. There's accident proneness, prone to accidents.
So we spoke about physical indicators, and we also spoke about behavioral indicators as well. Do we have emotional indicators as well?
Absolutely. Emotional indicators. For example, emotional outbursts and crying. A person can easily cry. Emotional outburst. You are in a meeting, this person just say something, angry, and then irritability, angry, depression, withdrawal, the person is withdrawn, hostile and assaulting behavior, and tendency to blame others. I'm who I am, I'm poor because of my parent. I'm poor because my father left me. I call it the Kumbule Kaya syndrome. And then tendency to blame others. Yeah, anxiousness, that's another thing. Feeling of, unworthiness. A person feels that, she is not worthy.
So it's worthlessness,
Yeah, and suspiciousness, and superstition, that I'm in this situation because ba lawyer go high, or my neighbors ba lawyer, like you become suspicious as well as superstitious.
So, Dr. Mathebula, are you able to provide us with stress management tips?
Yeah, as I said to you, this cumulative stress, a lot of people had cumulative stress without knowing how to manage the stress. Okay, fine. How do you manage stress? Get to know your body so that you can recognize the first signs of stress. I've mentioned those signs. You must actually know if you have got cold feet and the like, you must know that, I'm stressed. Learn to relax. Deep breathing, it's a natural, form of relaxing. You need to breathe in, breathe out. Practice simple relaxing exercises. Exercise, take a walk, run, play tennis, or dance, or stimulate, to stimulate your blood pressure. Learn to smile and laugh, and to balance work with recreation. Like there must be that balance. Don't be, a person they say, what do they say? Academic giant and a social dwarf. No, don't be like that. Yeah, and then learn to worry effectively by doing something about it. If you have got a problem, do something about it. If some arrows are thrown at you, you need to have the ability to rise. That's why Maya Angelou says, you may throw me with your arrows, but still I'll rise. If an arrow is thrown at you, you come there and you find that you have got a huge bill, it's 10,000 rand. Instead of focusing on the arrow, he said, no, let me phone Dr. Mathebula, my friend. I'm in a quagmire. Don't live with an arrow. Rise. And then learn to accept things and people. Learn to accept things. Learn to accept people that some people have got weaknesses and you're not going to change them. Learn to accept them. And take one thing at a time. A sure way to become overwhelmed is to find yourself in the middle of a dozen of projects. Now, don't do a lot of things, like be focused in whatever you are doing. Don't be like me because I'm doing a lot of things.
Same here.
Dig in once in a while and try to avoid getting angry, As we spoke the other time, that you need to react, you need to also to respond. You need to learn those things. You need to conquer yourself. Don't actually be angry unnecessarily. You need to think, before you get angry. That's what I can say about stress management.
Very, very interesting. Dr. Mathebula, do we have any advice that is coming from Mars to Venus?
Absolutely. We need to advise our women. This is the Mother's Month, and then we need to advise them. Yeah, firstly, focus on what is doing right instead of focusing on his negatives. What is doing right? Yo, Papa, I like the way you drive. I like the way you do. Focus on that. But if maybe you say, but I can't the way we are didn't pass out the cutting, what about now focus on the good. And be interested in what he feels. Be interested in what he feels is important in life. If he feels that soccer is important in life or what, be interested in what, in that. That's how, we can advise our Venus. tonight.
Oh, Dr. Mabila Mathebula, thank you so very much. Bari Chirnandebe Kachife, Dr. Mabila Mathebula, and I'm sure those that are listening actually heard you, and they will actually try and suss themselves up, try and find out if they are in a stressful situation so that they can be able to manage their stress, right? And I like the fact that, we gave physical indicators, behavioral indicators, and also emotional indicators as well, Dr. Mathebula.
Requile.
Dr. Mabila Mathebula, thank you so very much. And I know if there are those that want to, assist with topics as well, they can contact Dr. Mathebula on, in fact, on LinkedIn is Dr. Mabila Mathebula, and on Twitter is Mabila Mathebula, so you can be able to get in touch with him by inboxing him. And Dr. Mabila Mathebula, respond to any email, respond to any inbox. That we know and we are very sure of.
With an agility of a cat.
With an agility of a cat, showing both the zeal and the skill to be able to respond.
Oh, you are still creative. You are not stressed up.